Say something. I'll let you go.
Oh no, I just love that we found some of our most favorite musical friends in town through like completely unmusical connections. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, that was it. That's all I want to say.
The magic golf cart.
Golf cart.
Maybe that should be our band name.
The magical golf.
So it was just so serendipitous. I ran into my friend Joe Kukla, who you probably know as the guy who owns the shop, who's like a carpenter in town. Well, it turns out he used to study opera too. Mm-hmm. In like the greater Philly area. So anyway, so much in common. But anyway, I just mentioned I'm looking for a golf cart. So if you know of anyone selling one, let me know. Next day I get a text, hey, the house behind the shop, they've got like an abandoned golf cart, and I think they're moving. The opera singers are moving. And I thought, wait, the opera singers still live in town? Our paths did cross like a really long time ago. Again, after a gig, I don't remember the gig, what it was, or who I played with, but I do remember going over to your house afterwards at like midnight and pizzas that Meg made. I remember the pizzas. But I don't remember the gig.
Yeah. It was an Oscar Blues, I think.
So, and then I came over to see the golf cart. We literally had to tear it out of the weeds because it was like just abandoned. And you said, hey, I'd like to just give you this golf cart because we're moving and can't use it. If you're going to do something, I was like, wow, this is awesome. You're my favorite person. And you said, by the way, we sing like country songs every night, like in the front yard if you ever want to stop by. Like, okay. The opera singers are gonna sing some country music. Okay.
Sure they are.
Jason and I, like we sort of like got together a few nights after you left, and just sort of like, wow, what just happened? We just went into this like era. It's like this will always remember. The summer of 2020, even though it was only a few weeks, it was like. So we had to kind of process like all the music we had just made and the fact that it just stopped when you left. And wait, where was I going with this?
Well, you came over, you saw we met. I said we would play music in the front yard. We're opera singers singing country music in our front yard.
So Jason's wife said the opera singers are singing country music. Bring your guitar, we're going down there. He's like, I'm good. I'm not going to bring my guitar. And I guess his wife Tara said, bring your guitar. And he's like, yes, ma'am. I'm going to bring my guitar. But he's like, I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to bring it. And, we'll see what's going on. I do
remember that. It just sat there next to his table, to his chair. And they were like, "Are you gonna open your case?"
And like you say, you're like, I'm gonna go have some Julie's Thai Kitchen food, and then I'll probably just go home. And then, and so we had the same experience. Like, okay, let's hear the opera singers sing country music, and holy, holy smokes! Like,
You can
like
guess.
I sang with a lot of Southerners and like amazing Southern actual country singers, like bluegrass and country singers from that area. And I've sang with a lot of, like, as you'd probably call Yankees or like Northerners, who do a really good job of singing like someone from the South. But you are like the best country singer. And I admit, I don't know if I've ever heard you sing opera except for a few little snippets on YouTube. So I'll leave that to the experts. But you are like the best country singer I've ever like sang with, like maybe.
Mike.
And it's like a certain thing, to have, like the tricks, of country singing. It's like the inflections and the accent and the feeling, and it's like, you being from East Texas, you have that because you grew up with it, and you're also an incredible singer. So that is a deadly combination. And then your wife's like laser precision harmony, like never a wrong note. It's just like you two are like, I'm so glad that we're fostering this relationship, but it was a really sad day when you left.
We're still like,
Yeah.
the other night I played I just went through some of the clips, and I had a breakdown. Because it's a lot to mourn when we lost our livelihood.
Yeah.
But when you find something that's more vibrant and more personal and intimate than that, and then you lose that gets it's really hard to handle. But what's great about this relationship is that we didn't lose it.
Right.
We didn't lose it. You guys are still, and I didn't even know what was. I was in my own world trying to get, we were packing and moving and unpacking and packing and moving and unpacking and driving across the country in a pandemic, and everything's crazy. And I wasn't even clued in. Megan knows this about me. Sometimes I just kind of been in my own world. I don't really know what's going on. And the whole time that I'm just in my own world, you and Megan have been writing music together online. And can you talk about how that came about and what, I know that, Megan, talk about that first call you guys had and where you were when you had it and how that manifested itself.
I was checking in and texting Casey during stop to get gas on like the last day we were powering through our drive it was Sunday. It was a Sunday afternoon, so like a week and a half ago. That was it, week and a half ago. And I was just texting to check in, and I was like, and by the way, like, I think that this move is causing like some sort of like extra trauma because I feel like a 17-year-old girl like writing like song snippets of what like about my experiences, and like they're just chunks that are coming out. Like nothing's really fully formed, but it's just like these random chunks of thoughts that have music attached to them. And you were like, that's really funny because I'm half an hour away from teaching a songwriting workshop. And I was like, well, that's funny. And I was like, well, I'm driving, so can I listen? And she's like, yep, send you the codes. And then, I wasn't able to watch, but I had the audio and I called in. And one of the exercises that we did was just talking about our lives and like little things that were happening. And everybody kind of taking notes on each other. And I've got the phone on mute, and I'm like screaming out the words that people are saying so I can remember. Like saying each one 3 times so I can remember these keywords and like things that really landed on me. And then, we all kind of a handful of us went around and talked about our experiences, and people like started saying things that like to me about what I was saying to them. Like to me, they just seemed like I'm just telling you a story about what it's like to move and pack your stuff and all these things. And like, they just like started with these like amazing little snippets and like gems, and like immediately I started just I don't know, more thoughts started to come after that. And then we kind of started to put together some, like, knit together the thoughts. And then Casey was like, let's put some melody to this. And she just, like, came up with this beautiful, like, little, like, simple lilting, you know, like, descending melody. And yeah, and I don't know, we all kind of created together for, like, the class went on, like, an extra half hour than it was supposed to. And yeah, and since then it's just been kind of flowing, and I will send Casey random audio clips at all hours of the day. And then she'll send me back clips of her possibly sometimes harmonizing with them or putting it, like, rearranging something. It gets really cool. Like, I don't know. I've never really written songs before. B, I've never had a kind of a relationship where I'm creating something that I feel like that is, I guess, proprietary and I don't know how you would say that, like intellectual property, whatever. But that I'm so just like, I love this person, I trust this person, and she has wonderful ideas, and here you go. Like, this is ours now, you know. And then like the things that she's sending back to me, I'm like, oh, that is so much better. like that is so much better than like what I thought the best version I could come up with. You know, it's so cool, and the back and forth, and I don't know. I talked a lot, Casey.
Well, it's a really kind of fun place to be in, because you just went through the move, and you've got like all these thoughts, and you're new to songwriting, so you're like, lots, and I almost feel like the editor, like send me all the raw material, and I'm like, ooh, keep this, cut, keep that. And then I send it back to you, and then all of a sudden it's like, then you come up with this chorus, which is like, I would have never in a million years started that chorus on that note. I'm like, how did you think of that? That's awesome.
I had no idea you thought that. That's cool.
In some ways, it's almost better that we're not in the same room at the same time. Then we don't start talking like, hey, where did you get that lamp? Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, I've been to Memphis. It's like none of that. It's like you send me a file, I focus on the file, and I send it back to you, and it's like this. I don't know. It's I would prefer if you guys were here, but for this process, I mean, this sending things back and forth has been really, really helpful. And it kind of, if I'm too busy at the time, I can come back to it when I can really focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love that, actually, having the time and space in between. It kind of it gives you time to sort your thoughts out in a different way.
Yeah. And you can do something, and then you can, even though you don't realize you're thinking about it, you're doing something else, but I've got that melody in my head. And
oh, Buster!
Crazy dog.
That was a long one. Continue.
Like, credit him as like a co-writer as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned him in one of the songs. Like, there's an entire verse about him.
What's really interesting about hearing you guys talk about your process and about how this has developed over time is that, we are used to collaborating. Oftentimes, we will do a new piece, a modern opera composition, and the composer's in the room, and we're all sort of working together to kind of realize her vision or his vision. But it's rare that somebody in our field, in our particular position in our field, is able to create something, to be a part of the initial genesis of a piece of art. And just being from not really the outside, but like the thing that you guys have going on, it's been absolutely, it's been so gratifying to see the joy that Megan has gotten out of this process, and the kind of balm that it's been for her soul and for my soul. Because when I heard this, last night when she first played the moving song, all right, does it have a title yet?
Well, they're all kind of moving songs.
Yeah, the moving song cycle. That's you.
The moving song cycle that we're creating.
I mean, the moving song is accurate for me because it did move me. She came in here and played it, and it was like I could see the movie in my head of this move that we just did, and it was so touching to me. And that's the reason why I asked her to contact you for we could talk today, because I was so moved by this piece of art that you guys had created, and it resonated with me in a way that, I know the story, I'm part of it, but it gave it a different, I was there with Megan through all of this stuff, but for the first time I saw it through her eyes. It's really, when you're living with somebody, it's really hard, you try always to empathize with your partner and see the world from their standpoint. But it was like I had never really had the opportunity to step in behind her mask and look at the world and look at what had happened from her perspective. And it was a real gift to me.
We've been so busy, I think, even though you're together all the time and, of course, checking in and being caring, what it comes down to is you're like, we need more bubble wrap. I mean, you have a task at hand. There hasn't been time for you guys to sit and be like, what does this mean for you? Or how are you dealing with this? You were so busy.
Yeah.
Packed up and ready that you probably didn't have time to like really get behind each other, understand what the move meant to the individual rather than just the couple.
Yeah.
I really loved, Mike, what you said about the movie, because I took a master class the summer before last from Mary Gaucher at the Song School here in Lyons. And one of the things she kept saying was like, show me the movie. You're getting too far down this path. She's like, put me in the movie, show me the movie, that's what she kept bringing it back to. I mean, she had a bunch of little catchphrases that were like forever stuck in my head, but that one about put me in the movie, show me the movie. So the fact that that you saw Meg's movie, it was like, job well done, Meg.
Well, job, I think, well done for both of us, because we've been exchanging the files. I guess one of the things that I wanted to add was I don't think I wrote you on purpose to be like, hey Casey, I'm songwriting, let's do some stuff. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I just was like, we were just checking in, and I was like, and isn't this weird?
I write a song, and I was like, well, I'm about to teach a workshop, and the funny thing is that whole morning, I was feeling kind of like an imposter. Like, I haven't written a song in so long. Who am I to teach a songwriting workshop? Am I even a songwriter anymore? I mean, how long do you have to go of not writing a song before they kick you out of that club, So I was definitely really nervous about teaching the workshop. It was really small and lovely people, nothing to be worried about. But I did have that imposter syndrome. And when you said, hey, I feel like I'm on the verge of writing songs, what is that all about? And I was like, please join our class. And then it just for me, just seeing you approach us with fresh eyes too, it just unleashed, all this I don't know, maybe pent up creativity that I don't know, that I've just been either thinking I was too busy or, I feel like I wrote a lot more songs before Netflix. Writing a song can be painful. It's a lot of times it brings up stuff that you didn't realize was in there, and and then trying to make something work, and it's like, oh, I have this idea, but I only have 3 syllables to say what I'm trying to say. It's a lot of work, and it can be really emotional. And then there's Netflix. It's so easy, So it's been really great. I've sort of entered back into pre-Netflix or whatever phase of my life where I'm thinking about songs and hearing melodies, in the bird song or in just it's been really great because it's been definitely sort of stuffed down there for a long time.
That's so good. I'd also recommend quitting Facebook. Quit Facebook and limit the Netflix, and then
was that song you sang by Lucas Nelson? Turn off the news.
Oh my god, I love that.
I wish I had written that song, but yeah, turn off everything.
But that actually brings up a good point. Like, not Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson. Well, Lucas is a wonderful musician and writer, of course. But Willie Nelson, something that you said in that class that, like, literally, I was like, duh! It was one of those serious what moments is like keep it simple. Like, just, like, the fewest words possible, and if it feels a little cheesy, it probably means it's right. Like, you know, like that Willie Nelson, like, just that whole Willie Nelson way of doing things. Like, there's a reason he's been around for so long, and, like, why so many of his songs are considered classics, and, like, it's just... Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that was a random tangent there, but that's been resonating with me, and even in my life, like, it's helped me recently. Like, there's a lot of drama flying around because what do singers do when they're not on stage? What do singers do? We have drama. But it's helped me to, like, legitimately set some boundaries in my life. You know, like that motto of Willie Nelson, like, keep it simple, keep it sincere, like, you know what I mean? Just, like, I don't want to be CC'd on this, like, bitch fest email. Like, everyone, love you, no thank you anymore. Like, if you want to talk to me, let's have it be private and meaningful and concise. Bada bing. You know, it's silly, but, like, so much of what's happened in the last 6 months, but in particular, like, the last month that we were in Lions, when we, like, all really, like, started playing music all the time and having a lot of big questions that I had been asking myself that maybe I didn't even realize I had been asking myself started to get some answers. Do you know what I mean? And very simple answers. You know what I mean? Like what's important? What's important to me is, like, making connections and sharing music with people. And, like, reminding myself, like, having that month of, like, concentrated sing for fun. We're not doing this because it's our job or because of the glory of it being a fancy stage or an amazing premiere of, like, no. We're just getting together because this is what we need to do, and this is, like, what our neighbors need to hear us do from their homes, like, across the road. I know it's silly, but, like, how many people in town we ran into were like, was walking my dog and I just wanted to say hi. Like, thank you so much for singing. I heard you down the road. Like, it means so much more to me now than, I mean, it's always meant something to me, but, like, driving that home, that, like, I don't know, so much of that crap, especially because, like, there's no money to, like, open up some of the big opera houses and do these, like, extra fancy things. Like, though it's wonderful when we can, but, like, it's really made everything distilled into very concentrated reasons why. You know?
One thing that like you said early, Casey, like, when we were sitting out on the porch, our front porch, one of our mini front porch picks that we had, which, man, I would give anything to have that right now. Anything.
Me too, man.
And you said, and you mentioned it earlier in this conversation, that you felt sort of blocked, you know, you just didn't feel like making music. And we didn't feel like making music. And it's sort of this, when we started collaborating and we started working together, and it wasn't work, it was just play. You know, we were out there having a good time. It felt like, to me, that it opened a channel, at least in myself, and I know it happened in Megan, because that's why the channel is still open for her and that stuff's being downloaded. It opened a channel between my brain and my soul. And I think for a lot of us, especially in the classical music industry, that's blocked a lot of the time, because there's so much criticism. There's so much of this circus freak sort of show pony, show offiness, and competition and all that stuff.
Well, and then mixed
wrapped into our
having tons of people, like, telling you how they think you should do something.
All the time.
All the time. And a lot of it is really great information, but having to constantly sort through all of it and try to figure out which person you most definitely need to make more happy than the others and take their advice and say, things like that. Sorry.
I think also as a woman, and there's some similarities between the classical and opera world and folk and bluegrass. As a woman, you get even more of that advice. When I was first starting, I had people say, you shouldn't sing in a Southern accent. You're not from the South. And then literally, like someone else would say, you should try to sing in a Southern accent. And these are people I looked up to. You should try to sing with a little bit of a Southern accent because it really softens the vowels and it's more authentic. You should wear a dress on stage because it's more formal, shows respect for the audience. You should dress how you dress every day because it's more authentic. I just had all these different. I'm not sure if young men get the same advice, but I was just getting all this advice, unsolicited advice. And when I give advice to young women and girls, who show some promise and interest in wanting to do this, my advice is try to filter the advice that you're going to get from a lot of people and a lot of older men who are experts, and they're going to try to tell you what you need to do. To make it in the biz, and there's just a lot of that swirling around. But when we were sitting under that cottonwood tree with the crickets in the background, there was none of that. It was anything goes, it's all good, it's just music. And I just have to tell the story about when your friend Andrew came.
Yeah. Andy Garland.
Andy! What's his name, just so we can give him a shout out?
Andy Garland.
Great guy, great singer. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. But he all of a sudden was I want to hear some opera. I've heard enough country and bluegrass. I want to hear what you do. So he sat down and he was singing very quietly. It was literally, I think, 2 a.m. All of a sudden, Andy's standing up, and all of a sudden, Andy just unleashes the genie's body.
What was it? You and Jason figured doobie-doo-doo. Is that what he was singing?
At first, but he sang also Le Mio, I think, didn't he?
Oh yeah, something. Yeah, something
really let us have it on that one.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. So then he's and he's got the arms and everything, and he's full on on stage at the opera, and I'm thinking, my neurotic self, someone's going to call the police. We're going to get in a lot of trouble for this, And then when he got done, first of all, I was like, wow, that was so cool. And I'm just waiting for the police to show up and be like, you kids have to keep it down. All of a sudden, from neighbors all around us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so cool to hear people randomly cheering from blocks away.
Of all different walks, and your neighborhood was pretty pretty different as far as politically and age differences.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say diverse neighborhood, but pretty different people. And I really thought, we were going to get in trouble in one way or another. But no, people loved it, and I was like, yeah, people need this right now. Yeah. Just music for fun,
Yep.
And
well, just because it feels good, and because we all get along and find things in common, and I just also the way that the kind of freedom, I guess, that we all have had, whatever, together in our little formation we came up with. It's just not normal, really. You know what I mean? There's always some turd in the punch bowl, or somebody who's, I don't know, a little bit
trying
more
to control,
yeah, or you know what I mean? But I love that. Okay, Mike starts to sing a song, and he's taking the lead on it, and then everybody just sort of fell in line, singing harmony, or naturally, oh, feels right for you to just get in there on your mandolin and start doing something, and then Jason hears some little motive you come up with, and he riffs on it in his solo. I don't know. There's just such a.
It felt much more like communion.
A true communion, yeah. And that's not. I don't know. I think I'd already gotten past it when you joined us. But when we first started to play with Jason, like those couple weeks before we met you,
Yeah.
there were a couple times when I like had to stop and explain I thought I had to explain myself to him. Like, because oftentimes, like, we've been so trained in conservatory and then all the different training programs we're in that if you can't do it like right now perfectly the way that this person is telling you to do something, like, you're not going to get it. Even though that's so not what they're teaching, it's just like that's what you feel, that kind of pressure, you know? And so I felt this like thing inside me that had to apologize for existing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I just played with my elbows. Like, you know, this is the first time I've ever tried to play along with the song. Shit, if it sounds like all elbows, that's totally okay, you know? And like, but it took me a really long time. And once we all kind of, you know, found our groove, the four of us together, like toward the end, I started to get more comfortable to just be like, well, wrong note, whatever. Like, the only way I'm going to learn how to really do this and to be like, to just be fearless is to do it and be okay with the fact that it sounds like I played with my elbows, you know? Like, fine. But that has been really freeing, and I really, really hope that, I know that moving forward, that is, I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me, myself included. Do you know what I mean? Like, in any kind of music that I play or participate in, whether it be as a professional or an amateur or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's...
I mean, one of the things for us too, like, we live in our world. I'm sure. I mean, it's not going to be any different in the bluegrass world, because I've traveled in those circles too, and I understand that when the royalty comes in, it's like, oh, the big important people, or oh, these people are experts, they know things, and we don't know anything. And so we're constantly, you know, especially as singers in our industry, we're always kind of dismissed as know-nothings or just dumb or stupid. And Megan and I both, whenever you and Jason showed up and started playing with us, we were shocked that he came back.
Yeah.
I noticed that because
Yeah.
my husband Donnie and I would like come up in the golf cart, and you guys would sort of look like,
Oh my God.
I couldn't tell if you guys
They're
were
really here.
oh, we're gonna have play some music in, or if you guys were like, oh crap.
Yeah.
It took
They actually came.
Maybe, you know, I'm not a great guitar player. I've always played guitar good enough to be able to tell stories and play in church or play with my friends or play sort of in the pick circle, sort of off to the side. And so I just had this because of, just like Megan was talking about, these years of being sort of like, you don't know anything, you're stupid, you don't know anything, you're bad, you're terrible. When I was around people who after, sitting and playing with you for 2 minutes, I was like, oh my God, these people are like virtuosos, and they're amazing at their craft, and we're just a couple of chumps, and this is really terrible. And they're gonna like think that we're just, like opera singers who are like, trying real hard, good job. And, I thought that it would be sort of, they'll come once and do a nice thing for us and then go away and never really do it again. And the fact that you guys, it was, from your perspective, you didn't see us as pretenders or fakers or somebody who shouldn't be doing this, or you didn't see what you were doing as some sort of act of generosity. You came to us with the same sort of spirit that we were coming to you guys.
Yeah, it took about maybe 5 notes of hearing you sing, Mike, where I was like, what did we just step into? How can we convince these lovely people to not move across the country? I have to admit, like, of course there's these musical connections that we had, and finding it so close to when you had to move. I have to admit, one of the most painful things that I keep coming back to is when you guys when you were talking about like going to Gwen's greenhouse, which doesn't even exist anymore, and that one time when you went to Longmont to go to Target, and I was like, we have had these, even though you were barely in town, like parallel lives. It's like I've been to Gwen's greenhouse a million times. I've been to the Target in Longmont a million times. It's like I just like, can we just go back 5 years and like, but we can't, you know.
No.
It's okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about the brevity of that situation that it. I mean, even though we were sort of relaxed and in tune with each other, there was this MacGuffin. I love this. I use this word a lot. It's the other term about like the zombies in The Walking Dead are the MacGuffin. You know, they're not really a character, but they're the outside pressure that sort of causes the actors or the characters to sort of turn up their interactions and turn up the conflict. And this impending departure really, I think, caused us to focus in and not focus in on making something happen or really get, but just to really be present in those moments and sit and just be with each other and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for that last night when I like couldn't, I just was like overwhelmed and I just like could not hold it together. Mike turned to me and I remember like feeling like he was like, "What the hell's wrong? What's that? Like, what's the matter?" Like misinterpreting like my like all of a sudden, because I don't know if you even could notice because you guys were just like in it doing the thing, and I just shut down all of a sudden and felt like I was like watching, you know, a moment like from, you know, in my mind, and I just like it was too much. I shut down. I think about that moment. You know what I mean?
You were singing, and then you stopped singing, and you were just very still. And I felt it. I was like, she's hurting, you know. I think
Yeah.
I slept in a long time, and
Yeah.
and it was sort of like, I think because you didn't know exactly, it's not like you had flights.
Yeah.
You were just like, when we get past, that's when we're leaving. So we had a few of those last jams. We didn't know if it was the last jam.
Yeah.
And I think that night we kind of knew that, you know, like that was probably it, you know. It was
Yeah.
heavy, kind of heavy.
Yeah, that was tough. That
Yeah,
was really tough.
yeah, tough for us too. You know, I remember, you know, I think telling my mom like, oh well, the opera singer's this, the opera singer's that, and my mom finally looked at me, she goes like, when are you gonna like? I'm so glad you had that experience. It's like really got you out of a funk. You know, I personally, I think it like saved my life.
Well, ours too, obviously.
If not just turned it around. I don't know if that's like too dramatic, but like that's how I really felt like this, doing this, and the joy that I've felt for the first time in a long, long time. This is saving my life, you know. So I think we knew when it was that last jam. So what we thought was the last jam, you know, it was a pretty heavy moment. Yeah. So my mom said to me, she said, "When are you going to get over this?" I was like, "I'm not sure I'll ever get over it, but I don't know if I ever want to get over it. This has like been such a unexpected boon, such a blessing. I don't know even how else to describe it, really."
Yeah. Well, I think that's like part of it too is, you know, talking about being in a funk that you were in, and then like the pandemic kind of like just really like, like making it that much more. Like the thing about the pandemic that, for me anyway, having that 6 months or like even those first few weeks of like really being taken out of it, and when you're like on the train, you're on the train, you know what I mean? And you don't have time to like even consider where you're going. You're just like trying to catch up and do your work while you're on the train on your way to the next like thing that the train's taking you to that you can't get off, you know? And I didn't realize like I was having those moments of like great joy in those like special moments on stage or rehearsal or in the practice room where I would like, you know, have those breakthroughs and things. All of that was great. Those moments are great, and I am thankful and honor them. But I didn't realize how like unhappy I had been for 2 years, and it wasn't really the actual work itself. It was like all the other stuff around it that was becoming. It was becoming its own character in my life, you know, in a way that I don't know, like having a chance to get off the train for 6 months and just be a human and let music flow how it feels natural to flow, and to let relationships develop organically without having to like okay, I only have one more day here in this city and I don't know the next time I'm going to be here, so I got to squeeze it all in. Or like just to wave to someone and know I'm going to see them walk their dog like later that day or a week from now, like I don't know, it just, there's something about having this time, like the pause button in a way, like that helped me to realize like the path I was on, the things that I was giving energy and credence to in those last couple years, especially like the last couple months leading up to this pandemic, were like eventually going to kill me. You know what I mean? Like, or like make it so that I don't make any music at all anymore in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? And it was going to make me shut down entirely, So, like, I don't know, this whole time and like meeting you and getting to like, I don't know, just like all of these things that are just kind of like revealing themselves to me, for lack of a better hippie term. I don't know, like, it's saved my life too, I mean, it's silly, but
one of the interesting things about the nature of our lives, pre-COVID or whatever. When we got married in 2015. No.
Yeah, 2015. No, it does feel like a lifetime though.
It does, but in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
And that's what I'm about to talk about. I've been in a lot of relationships in my life, and I've lived in a lot of places, and the places that I lived in and the relationships that I was in were never they were at times, but there was never this pervasive feeling of I need to get home or I need to get to my partner. I mean, there was some of that, but there wasn't this sort of anchor ever. When I lived in Fort Worth, or when I lived in New York, or I lived in Cincinnati, or wherever the hell I was living, I didn't ever feel this like I gotta get home. And ever since I moved to Lyons, I've had this feeling like I always liked the road. I would like to be home sometimes, but after a week or so, I started getting the shakes. I wanted to get back out there on the road and get to be doing stuff and making stuff and doing stuff. I didn't have this feeling of wanting to go home or stay home. And ever since Megan and I moved there, and I think it's the same for you, baby. I don't want to speak for you, but we had this gravitational pull in Lyons that was always bringing us back in these big orbits and sucking us right back in, like stay, and you need to be here. And I didn't realize that the reason was because you guys were there. Megan and I, we've often been on the road together. She'll be in Paris, or I'll be in Germany, and she'll come join me. So we can be with each other. It's not just the fact that we miss each other; it's that we missed each other in our house in Lyons. And part of that, I think, was the environment, the spirit of that town that has also anchored you and Jason and everybody else that's in our street, but you and Jason in particular, anchored you guys there. And even now, when we're here in our home in Columbia, South Carolina now, we kind of feel like we want to go home. We want to go home. And I don't think it's not that house, even though it's got a lot of good memories there. It's that table, that weird junky table that I built out of old 2x4s that we could put our stands on and put our beers and our music on.
It worked.
That's the gravitational pull that I keep feeling pull me back,
Well, the nice couple that moved into your house, we went over. I've known they're half of them are musicians. Taylor Shuck is the bass player in a band called Woodbelly, and he and his girlfriend moved into that house, and so we brought them. They put something on Facebook that they're looking for house plants, and we have a ton of house plants, so we brought them a little housewarming gift. And I was just like, I walked up to the door, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And there's a table and a couch where I was just like, hell yeah.
They put a couch in the yard! Oh my god! They went more Mike Mays than Mike Mays!
I'm going to buy this couch from you if you leave it there.
That's
round table, and the table said not for sale, so I'm hoping the table stays. And they had a garage sale, and neighbor Don came over.
Neighbor dog.
Neighbor dog.
Neighbor dog.
Neighbor dog.
Ain't no neighbor in the world like neighbor dog.
Neighbor dog. Oh my gosh.
If anyone's wondering what that is, Meg and Mike's next door neighbor, this older guy, Don, who I've known kind of for years, just as one of the old guys at the coffee shop. And honestly, I've always sort of just kind of written him off. I thought, oh, we're probably not going to see eye to eye on, just honestly, I just sort of kind of wrote him off. He's always been very friendly. We've had a friendly relationship, but you guys welcomed him over, like, come on, come hang out with us.
Yeah.
And, it's through that hang that someone I've known for 20 years, sort of, I've got to know him a little bit. And he's a lovely, lovely guy. You guys are just so open to all the interesting characters that would come and disappear from behind a bush. And whereas, like, my reaction was always sort of like, we have a very formal jam session going on here, and you guys are, hey, come on over here. Would you like a beer? And your spirit was very warm and welcoming, and I have to remember that sometimes because I think I am a little judgmental and critical and like really maybe too narrow in my scope of who I allow in or who I will hang out with. And I have to say, neither of you have that. You're just wide open, just like, you come on over, bring your freak show over here.
Please do.
We'll try to mix our freak shows and see what kind of new freak show we come up with.
Freak show
I will carry that with me for forever. It's just your openness, and you're just, like, that's the spirit, and I need more of that. So thank you for that lesson.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, as the person that's in that thing, and Megan will, I think, agree with me. The relationships that we formed with you guys I don't ever see them going away, and in particular because Dallas Opera, who is the sponsor of this podcast, has also expressed an interest in bringing us all to Dallas for a little reunion concert. They had seen our concert that we did with Central City with Jason, and it was before the four of us had started playing together.
It's before we knew you were that Casey.
Yeah, that was that Casey.
Wait, we just invited that Casey over to play music with us? What the hell? Oh my god.
If anyone is, a lot of times doing this show, people are like, what does that have to do with opera? That doesn't have anything to do with opera. This has a lot to do with opera because, Dallas Opera is the reason that we're actually going to be able to get together again and play music again. And who knows what it's going to be like in, November, December, but we're going to make that happen, and we're going to bring this music and this love to everybody and to try to honor that openness and that spirit so that we can, bring in everybody and have everybody come in and take something away, take something, that goodness back with them.
I also have some possible operatic gems floating around in my mind that I've been starting to rearrange in a style that is non-operatic.
Yeah.
Just FYI. There will be more dropped into our Google and or Dropbox files.
Now I'm gonna spring this on Megan because we're coming up on about an hour now, and Megan has been playing this song over and over again, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, baby. But I'm just asking. if you would like to play the movement song, it's so moving.
The movement song?
Okay,
The movement song?
The movement song. It's like this. No, there's a different kind of movement.
It's the one that we started to come up with in the songwriting class, workshop, circle. All those wonderful ladies that were sharing. That's the one that you're talking about, right, Mike?
Yes, dear. Are you there?
Well, but there's really I've only written 2 verses of it.
We don't need all of them yet. We want to, save some for later. I want to put the microphone in a box so it doesn't run.
Why is it?
Score.
I kind of want to just play the clip that Casey sent back of her harmonizing to it. And E flat, right? Because E flat is a perfect key for string players.
Bluegrass, I can't even tell you.
Is it really? No. Okay, I was like, did I know? Is that something? I was like, I know E flat is like not the best key, but that's what it speaks. Like that's the key that's speaking to me. So
the key of 12.
The key of 12.
So Mike, can I ask either one of you a technical question?
Yeah.
If I mute myself, can I play along?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of want to see if you can try.
I won't.
Oh, right. Yeah, too much. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All the doors were open the first time in a while. One by one, our neighbors prepared us for each mile. Naked walls and boxes, a lifetime's memories, bubble wrapped and labeled for where they're going to be. Cold winds blowing, winds that rage, wind brings safety, winds bring change. There we go. Are you muted still? You're not muted still, are you?
Oh yeah, what I played just now was so brilliant, you'll never know. I don't know if I've ever played an E flat.
I know, right? E flat. I'm not sure why E flat is like the key that is speaking to me. I could obviously put it in an E or in D.
Well, it does fit your voice really well in that place, but
I do like
E
E
might
flat.
be a little bit bright, but it might still
E would
work.
probably be probably D flat actually if I'm like looking for a similar. All the doors are open the first time in a while. All the doors are open.
Has a D flat?
Huh?
I'm not sure this has a D flat.
A D. Oh my God, D flat. That's right.
Yeah.
C sharp. Is C sharp's a weird one.
You sound beautiful in both keys. It's just
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, no, both of those keys suck. So it would have to be D, right?
Yay, D's a great chord for us.
D is a great chord. We love it as the tonic. And we love A. And we love A as the 5. I don't know.
Yeah.
G is awesome, and so is A.
I'm liking this.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all. I wrote 2 more verses that really sucked. That weren't good. For it. And then last night while Mike was sleeping, I reformatted because I'm still stuck on the idea of sharing an unmasked smile. I love that.
Yeah, it's such a nice image.
It's such a nice image. Show me the movie, right? And yeah. I think I figured out how to get it in there, but because I just love it. But it's more of a laundry list, crickets mixing with sirens now, and craving unmasked smiles. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just crickets by themselves, like, we're getting a lot of siren sounds. I mean, it's so, like, stupid. I mean, it's so cliche, I guess, but it's...
Here's one of the things that, just listening to you guys talk and listening to, and knowing how that in art, we often try to reverse engineer things. We try to, like, this is what they want, so let's figure out how to give this to them.
Yeah.
But it's what the audience wants and what people want is to connect.
Yeah.
They want to see this, and that's one thing that
Yeah. But when
one thing that always has been tough, I think, for both of us. But I think, if I may say so, a little bit for Meg sometimes, is this, with respect to this kind of music. And the relationship that you guys have had is helped her opens up. And I want to thank you, and thank you both for being the women that you are. And you're really important to me, both y'all.
Aww.
Thanks for the golf cart. Thank you for the golf cart, and I'd like to thank the golf cart for bringing us together. You know, I'm not sure we would have found each other otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm thankful your mom had a birthday that needed some social... Or was it a birthday that you were planning for? Like a...
I was just trying to... There's so many seniors here in town who literally have... That was like 4 months into the pandemic, who had like literally not even left their house because they're so scared. So I just wanted to create like the safest place, like in my yard. It's like no one over the age of 65 except for the musicians, and the musicians have to stay back there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to create a real safe space for them and for them to enjoy some music. And I can't tell you, for about 3 weeks after that concert, I got a message every day from someone. Sometimes people would message more than once. That's the most fun I've had in 4 months. Just like how much joy that brought them. It was like worth all of the chair moving and sound system setting. Like all of that was so worth it just to get, to bring some happiness to some of the seniors here in town who are really kind of shut in anyway, and then this is not helping. So,
Yeah.
I also wanted to say to some of your fans out there that, a lot of times when I ask people, hey, do you want to come play for free? I'll give you a cupcake. A lot of people will, they just, I understand. It's like, got other things to do, and they don't want to play for free or for a bunch of old people, and, just not appealing. When I asked you, Mike, in our exchange, like, thanks for the golf cart. By the way, will you come play for free for my mom and some of her friends? You didn't hesitate. You were like, yep, absolutely. Just tell me when and where. And I'm quoting. You said, just tell me when and where, and we'll be there.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for doing that. That was so generous of you guys.
Well, it was awesome. I mean, he was like, oh, by the way, we're going to play for... Casey, the girl who just got the golf cart from us, she's doing a concert for some seniors, so I told her that we would play. I was like, cool, when? And he's like, Monday morning. Great, okay, be there. Like, yeah, sure, what do you want to do? I was like, what does she want us to do? Like, I don't... also, like, I'm not going to lug a keyboard up there and, like, try to use my acoustic instrument in an outdoor space with a digital one that's trying to sound like an acoustic one. You know what I mean? I get a little funny about the electric piano with opera. It's hard for me.
It was a perfect afternoon.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so good. And then we were like, hey, we should invite her to come hang out with us and play some music. She seems like a nice person.
Yeah.
Oh, she's that Casey.
Well, fear not. Mannequin Feedback, or the Midnight Crickets, or the Park Street Punks, or whatever the heck we want to call ourselves eventually. It will ride again. And I think a lot of the folks that are watching this show will be some of the folks that are in that audience. And I can't wait to share that goodness and that kindness and that openness and that artistic vulnerability that I was able to share on the porch with all of those folks there. I can't wait to share it with a greater audience. And I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you for taking time out of your day. I think we're going to wrap this up. And thank you so much for sitting down with us today. We miss you terribly.
You want to play us out?
Yeah. Oh,
Play us out? Yeah.
Um,
To be continued.
All I ever loved was you. You broke a heart that cried for you. I've wasted all my tears on you. For all I ever loved was you. Oh, I'll ever find somebody new, but you'll be sorry if you do. You'll never find a love so true.